spoke to this female, and this is why I'm doing it. Her name is Naomi, right? Naomi was talking to me about double standards. She's an Israelite sister, and she was telling me, well, they rap. There's people that have double standards. Why is it? And my thing is to her is when you're trying to be successful, you're always going to run into double standards in this world. For an example, double standards is a part of life. Some say, well, it's not fair. But that's a part of life. Life is not fair. When you look at homosexuality, people, men will look at two lesbians, have sex with each other. But if it was two men, they'll condemn their act until it's two women. So if you don't condone homosexuality, but yet you accept it when it's two women, then you do condone. That's where the double standards come in at. Because a lot of people in this world, especially men, if there's two men doing it, it's a problem. But if it's women doing it, it's all right. They like to look at it. That's a double standard. It's like order. If a man was to walk up and say, yo, guess what? I just met these two chicks. I don't even know their name. Look, I got pictures of them that we had sex and we did X, Y, and Z. Everybody on the corner is going to give the man a five and be like, yo, you the man. But let a woman walk up and say, hell, guess what? I just met two dudes last night. I don't even know their name. And I let them hit it, gave them head and did X, Y, and Z to them. Shit on that hill. You're nasty. That's the moral relativism. It's a double standard with men versus women. If a woman got multiple baby fathers, people look at her like she's a problem. But if a man tells you, yo, I got all of these baby mamas and I got them knocked up, people gonna look at him like he's the man. See, this is where moral relativism is. It's the thing that you condemn in others, you accept in yourself. You allow double standards to enter into your life. That's why I always tell people, when you listen to people who are ready to condemn you, they'll have the thing with do as I say but not as I do. That's the hypocrite answer. Because that's the type of person that don't want accountability. Because a critic basically is someone who knows the way but don't know how to drive a car. And the reason why that's important, because in your life you're always going to have emotional backseat drivers. People who will tell you what to do, what not to do, but yet the same advice they give you. You're wondering, like, if it's so good, what happened to your life? It's the ones who got nothing going for them in life. It's the ones that quick to tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing. But this is the double standard that people have. It's good for you, but it's not good for them. Like, that's why I always tell people you gotta stay focused. Because haters are always going to think more of you than themselves. Because they're insecure. Too many dreams have ended because someone listened to the wrong person. You see, there's a difference between ordering people around and trying to help people. People try to order you around and run your life. That's one person, I tell you, that's the only run where you never get tired. A person that will run your life. They never get tired because they're running your life. They have the best cardio because they're running. They're going to run your life. They're going to run your relationship, run your dream. Everything you put out, they're going to run it. That's why I always tell people, if you think you're a leader, but no one's following you, you're just walking. And this is what a lot of people do in life. Nobody's following them. And but you can't be that person that's following a stagnant person either. You got to understand the difference between critic and cricket. A critic, I'm saying having a critic in life is not always bad because someone can always be there to help you. But when you got critics, they just make unnecessary noise. There's some people always ask me, well, how do you deal with it? Like I always tell make you a priority. What, you don't matter? How you feel is worthless? Nah, nah. This is why I tell people, if you have enemies, that's good. That means you stood up for something, you stood up against someone at some time in your life. If everybody's liking you, there's a problem. There's nothing wrong with being a people person, but there's something wrong with being a people pleaser. If you don't like you, why would someone else like you? If you don't accept you for who you are, why should I accept you for who you are? You're going to have enemies. Somebody is never going to see the value in you. Just don't let that person be you. There's always going to be someone, some hater somewhere who's going to try to bring you down or try to knock you. I'm telling you, it's inevitable. It's not going to go nowhere, so you just might as well embrace it. You see, it's hard to stay on purpose if you don't know what your purpose is. You can't always have an open door policy in your life. Sometimes you got to shut the door and let people knock. Open door policy means people want to interrupt you. No, I can't allow you to interrupt me. You got to knock. You got to announce yourself. I got to give you the right and the time to come in. This is why I always say to people, your mind and your world is nothing but a big, moldable clay. Why? Because you are going to, your mind is, people shape you. People don't want to admit to it. Whether you have a belief system or no matter what you're doing, someone shaped you. You are shaped by the word you love. I believe what I believe. I was born and raised as an Israelite. I have a friend that's Muslim. He's Muslim. He was born and raised that. The point is, you are nothing but clay. You gotta ask yourself, who are you gonna let mold you? Some cats, they want to be gangsters and they let the street mold them. They let rap music mold them. These females now, they want to be strippers and they let the world mold them. You gotta ask yourself, who you gonna let mold you? Because someone is gonna mold you. That's why I always tell people, what lenses are you wearing? Because it's going to shape how you see the world. All glasses are not the same. You got glasses for reading. You got glasses for nearsighted, farsighted, to make the words bigger, make the words smaller. It's about how you see the world. You got to know what lenses you're wearing. This is why I always tell people, you have to be very careful. Especially with the people you let tell you things about you and in your life. You be the screenwriter and the author of your life. Don't let no one write your story. Who knows your story better than you? But people will write your story to bring you down. Nah, you write your own story. You be the author of your life. Don't let no one dictate that. That's why I always tell people, remember the importance of hearing. Because you don't know where you can mine gold value yourself, you won't value your time. And until you value your time, you will not do